Welcome to Royal Empire, your trusted source for royal news and updates. Today's developing story is drawing intense attention, and many believe the reason behind the recent public moments is simple: an attempt to answer growing skepticism from traditional media and online commentators. Questions have resurfaced about past pregnancy narratives, with critics arguing that recent footage appears designed to say, "This is real, this is happening," and to challenge those who doubt the official version. Supporters see it as transparency, while skeptics see it as performance. Either way, the conversation is accelerating, and opinions are becoming more divided by the day. Commentators are now openly revisiting earlier appearances, suggesting inconsistencies in shape and movement that, in their view, do not align with typical expectations. These observers argue that the timing of recent videos feels intentional, arriving just as online discussion intensified. Others dismiss this entirely, calling it speculation driven by social media culture. What cannot be denied is that the topic has returned to the spotlight in a way few expected, and the reaction has been immediate and emotional. For years, the public followed a carefully presented narrative: a modern royal love story, pregnancies framed as hopeful milestones, and the arrival of children symbolizing change within the monarchy. The image was refined, controlled, and reassuring. But now, an alternative account has emerged from a woman identified only by the initials DL. She claims she was not a bystander or assistant, but the person who carried both pregnancies from start to delivery, while remaining completely hidden from public view. According to DL, her silence was not voluntary. She says it was a condition of her involvement, enforced through strict agreements that required total privacy in exchange for disappearing from the story entirely. No interviews, no recognition, no identity, just a life lived away from cameras while someone else stepped into the public role of motherhood. She claims that for years, this arrangement remained buried because silence served everyone involved. Now, she says that silence is no longer possible to maintain. DL describes what she calls a system built to leave no trace. She alleges she was hired through a private agency operating far from public attention, with clear instructions to follow medical guidance, limit contact with the outside world, and remain unseen. Her movements, she says, were controlled, her communication restricted, and her daily life reduced to monitored rest and appointments. According to her account, this was not personal mistreatment, but calculated precision designed to protect a single outcome. The pregnancies would occur without public knowledge of how. She claims she signed extensive agreements outlining compensation, confidentiality, and permanent erasure from the narrative. Once the children were born, she was expected to vanish as if she had never existed. For a long time, she says she complied fully. But now, DL asserts that she holds materials that move her story beyond rumor. She alleges the existence of signed documents, medical timelines, ultrasound records, and correspondence between legal teams and the agency involved. She says she has retained legal counsel, is willing to testify formally, and has agreed to DNA testing through official channels. If such steps move forward, public messaging would no longer control the situation. Processes, verification, and timelines would. According to DL, while she lived in isolation, another reality unfolded publicly. Cameras followed Meghan Markle through appearances and interviews, presenting a calm, confident image of pregnancy and motherhood. DL claims she watched this from a distance while carrying the physical burden in silence. One woman, she says, experienced the biological reality, while another carried the public role. The contrast, in her view, was intentional and necessary to maintain a seamless image. Royal births have historically followed strict procedures meant to remove doubt, with official confirmations and witnesses documenting each step. In this case, critics note that many of those traditional elements were absent. At the time, this was explained as a preference for privacy and a modern approach. However, some now argue that privacy does not require the removal of established protocol. When documentation systems built on accuracy show gaps, questions inevitably follow. As time passed, online observers began pointing to moments they felt looked unusual, citing changes in appearance that seemed inconsistent from one event to another. Individually, these moments proved nothing. Collectively, they fueled speculation. DL now claims that specially designed pregnancy props were used to maintain a consistent public image, with appearances planned carefully to avoid scrutiny. She argues that the intention was not spectacle but control, ensuring that nothing disrupted the accepted story. Then came the hospital room video that shifted the tone of the debate. Intended by some to feel personal and reassuring, it instead intensified skepticism among critics, who felt the moment appeared staged rather than spontaneous. The timing, they argue, mattered more than the footage itself, arriving after questions had already begun circulating. Crisis communication experts often note that evidence presented after doubt can deepen suspicion rather than resolve it, and many believe that is what happened here. Attention then turned to official records, where observers noticed that Meghan Markle's personal name did not appear as expected, replaced instead by a title. Explanations varied, and responsibility was unclear. DL claims this choice was deliberate, meant to obscure accountability by shifting focus from an individual to an institution. In royal systems, records establish lineage and legitimacy, and even small changes can carry large implications. Critics ask why such a change was necessary at all. DL further claims that Prince Harry was aware of the arrangement, alleging visits during the pregnancies and written expressions of gratitude afterward. If proven, this would extend the issue beyond personal controversy into constitutional territory. The monarchy relies on clarity of lineage and law, and any uncertainty surrounding succession carries serious consequences. According to reports, advisors and experts are quietly discussing potential scenarios, not because conclusions have been reached, but because the risk itself demands preparation. Notably, there have been no immediate public responses addressing these claims directly. For a couple known for strategic communication, the silence stands out. Some interpret it as careful calculation, others as uncertainty about how to respond. Meanwhile, DL says she is prepared to proceed, placing truth above discretion regardless of personal cost. At the center of this unfolding situation are two children who did not choose the circumstances surrounding their birth narratives, yet now find themselves central to a much larger debate. If DL's claims are validated, this story would move beyond controversy into a defining moment for public trust. The royal stage is quiet for now, but quiet does not mean resolution. It is simply the moment before clarity arrives. Thank you for listening to Royal Empire. Stay connected, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update as this story continues to develop. This is Royal Empire, signing off.